ISDD Case File Number 8. What follows are the events from June 12th, 20 to June 18th, 20. A tablet belonging to a 17-year-old named Jack Haddix contains a diary of the events surrounding the incident. This will be followed by an after-action report by ISDD Second in Command, Ophelia Wild. Entry 1, June 12th, 1207.
They are actually letting me go on this summer trip, even with all the craziness that seemed to consume the news lately. I mean, honestly, this school trip means the world to me. An entire 3 weeks in the woods with my closest friends. I mean, yes, they were hesitant at first, I get it, but they said yes. Which means now it's just going to be me, Jerry, and 25 other high school kids partying in the woods. It's going to be great. Especially since I get to be tent mates with Jerry on the actual camping part. Now, I kind of understand why they were so apprehensive about me going out there. My buddy Jerry likes his booze, like a lot. I mean, we're talking about a guy who smuggled an entire bottle of tequila into the school cafeteria and got nearly everyone in our lunch period tipsy last year. He's coming on the trip, probably with some vodka. But honestly, I couldn't make it without him. He's my best friend. But he's not the only one who I'm excited about. Julia Harper is also coming, the girl I've known since second grade, the one who I used to always pick on. She really grew into her own. I can remember when we were around 12 and she invited me over to our first party. We played spin the bottle, and the moment the bottle landed on her father, who's this 6'3" ex-Special Forces guy, just flew into the room telling everyone it was time to go. Talk about overprotective. I remember asking about it the next day, and as it turns out, he'd been watching us on a security camera. He'd installed it just for the party. We were kids then. Now, we're on the brink of our senior year. You'd have thought he'd have loosened his grip, at least a little bit. But, last summer he broke Jackie Howard's jaw when he found them in her room. Or, that's what the story says. I'm not sure what it is about her now. I mean, we've always been good, if not great friends, even when she moved to Colorado Springs after all of our freshman year. We still stayed in touch, but lately those glances I catch her giving me have been getting longer. I've noticed it since she moved back. God, I sound like a simp right now. That and she's just gotten way prettier. I'm not the only one who's noticed. Jerry hasn't shut up about hooking us up. Now we're going to be 100 miles away from Mr. Harper. Maybe I'll have a chance to make a move.
Entry 2, June 13th, 0012.
So I packed for the camping trip. It took the rest of the day. Jerry helped me out. We're sharing a tent, after all, during the hiking portion of the trip, so he had to approve all the stuff I'm bringing, as well as, how much vodka is appropriate for him to stuff into his sleeping bag. I told him several times that he was going to end up with liver cancer if he didn't slow down. He just shrugged and chuckled, which I guess didn't bother me as much as it should have, because I found myself taking a swig from his bottle a few minutes later. We leave in the morning for the Rio Grande National Forest. We're supposed to meet Mr. Green, our camp counselor. He's actually just the ag teacher. Most of the people on this trip are from a second period ag class, which makes things a little weird. There are 27 high schoolers going out on this trip, with only Mr. Green as a chaperone.
Entry 3, June 13th, 0855.
Holy hell. We just got to the school and Mr. Green revealed that he wasn't our only chaperone. I nearly non-metaphorically defecated my pants when I found out who it was. Mr. Harper stood in front of the class, a wide smirk on his grizzled face. Julia looked almost sheepish standing next to him. She seemed a little embarrassed. Her cheeks were cherry red. She played with her short blonde hair. I couldn't help but stare at her. God, I sound like a simp again. I guess he noticed me because the next thing I knew, he was saying my name. Mr. Haddix. He spoke with authority. His voice boomed like he was hooked up to a loudspeaker. I just looked up a little dumbfounded. I really didn't know what was going on. You know what to do if we run into a bear? He asked me with a grin. Hide behind you? I replied. The class laughed. Julia even chuckled a little bit, which made my heart dance a little. Hell, even Mr. Harper chuckled. Smart man, the aging man responded. I could feel Jerry nudging me. He likes you, man. You have a chance. Shut up, I whispered, sharply nudging him back with my elbow. Now, the reason the school is having me tag along is because, well, I volunteered. School needed someone to make sure no one gets themselves hurt. This trip is supposed to be 3 weeks after all. It'd be a damn shame if someone went off and did something stupid 2 days in and we had to pack it up. Language, Mr. Green spoke up. Oh, sorry, I'm not used to working around kids, Mr. Harper said. We're not kids, we're young adults. The way too preppy, Stacy Hackett snorted. Harper just rolled his eyes, as did most of the class. Then, just like that, we were getting on the bus, which is the place I'm writing this now. Jerry already has a bottle in his hand. He keeps saying it's water, but I can smell the vodka on his breath. So can Julia. She's sitting right across the bus aisle from me, right next to her dark-headed friend Chloe. We've talked a bit, mostly about school and college plans. She's got a military scholarship to West Point. I wonder how she got that, her dad being special forces and all. She did say something that kind of caught me off guard. She said her dad fought in Norway. I mean, I knew he looked like one tough son of a bitch, but if he survived that, well, maybe I'll have to reconsider who I have a crush on.
Entry number 4, June 13th, 1547.
This place it's a bit quiet for a state park. I mean, you'd think with the abundance of green combined with the almost blistering heat, there'd be at least some sound, some wildlife out there. But I can't even hear the crickets chirp. I guess no one else has noticed, or maybe I'm just crazy. We just got to the campsite, which was basically 3 wooden cabins set up around a giant fire pit. There was supposed to be an outhouse somewhere, but I didn't feel like looking quite yet. We were off the bus pretty quick, Mr. Green giving us the whole boys in one cabin and girls in the other speech, which was followed by Harper saying, if he catches any boys in the girls' cabin, they're going to spend the rest of the trip sleeping outside with no tent. Typical hard-ass. When we finally got inside the cabin, we found that it was basically one giant room. All the boys were going to be sleeping on the floor in their sleeping bags. Jerry ended up going nuts when he found out there was zero electricity. The dude marched outside and demanded Mr. Green tell him how he's supposed to charge his cellular device, to which Mr. Green laughed and showed us the solar power outlets he brought, all while joking that we should be getting in touch with nature and those little electronics are damn distractions. Harper quickly shot him a look for obvious reasons. What happened to language? He snorted. This made the whole class laugh. I'm still sitting here typing on this new tablet Mom bought me. It's a nice little slick black device about the size of a notebook, crafted by that Gideon company that seems to run everything these days. It's got a keyboard that I can press one of the side buttons and it pops out the bottom of the device almost like a switchblade. Mom wanted me to take notes and pictures so we'd have something to talk about when I get home. I don't like pictures. I don't think she's going to actually read any of this. I'm just writing more so for me to know what to talk about. Apparently I babble a lot.
Entry number 5, June 13th, 1655.
15 teenage boys are cramped into this little cabin. God help me. Jerry already has half of them taking swigs from a whiskey bottle that he somehow conjured up from his sleeping bag. He didn't even run that by me. I'd ask him about it, but he seems like he's having fun. Maybe when the hiking portion of this trip starts and we have to camp with actual tents, I'll bring it up. We're like a mile or so from the main road, but I swear I heard a car engine close by earlier. Jerry said it was probably the bus. I don't know. It sounded more like the roar of a truck's engine than the hum of our yellow state-of-the-art school bus. Also, I got a text from Julia. She wants to hang out during tonight's bonfire. I'm excited and terrified at the same time. I feel like a giddy second grader. I really hope Mr. Harper doesn't get on to us.
Entry 6, June 14th, 0053.
Wow. That really just happened. Remember when I said I was rooming with 15 boys? Well, things just got kinda out of hand. Cooper, our residential jock, just got into a fistfight with Barry. Apparently he got a text from his sister saying that Barry slept with his girlfriend. I personally think they're both a little stupid. I mean, I'm by no means a popular or good-looking guy. But even I could probably get in Cooper's girlfriend's pants. She always had a rep. That being said, I do feel for Cooper. He's a good guy. A little too perfect for his own good. Hard to believe he was with her for so long. I mean, if you looked at them next to each other, you'd think they went together perfectly. But Stacy was a snob. Cooper, however, is probably the friendliest person I've ever met. He's the type of guy who'd give you the shirt off of his back if you needed it. Hell, I can remember during our freshman year when a kid called Jose had gotten hospitalized after he tried to off himself. Cooper went up to the hospital to visit him several times. He'd even raised over $4,000 just to let the kid know that he wasn't alone. Jose is actually on the trip with us. He doesn't talk much. Not since then. But as nice as Cooper is, Stacy isn't. I don't know how they stay together, but I do know that Barry has the biggest black eye I've ever seen. I'm not really surprised. Cooper is 250 pounds of pure muscle, while Barry is just an average guy. Anyways, Harper just walked in. I think Aaron went and grabbed him. He doesn't look pissed, just annoyed and tired. Mr. Green is behind him. They're listening to both sides of the story very, very carefully.
Entry number 7, June 14th, 0730.
Well, Harper went full dad mode on those two last night. Told them he can either call up the park rangers or they can spend the entire night chopping firewood for tonight's bonfire. They both chose the latter. They've been at it all night. They're not even back yet. This cabin smells like sweaty teenagers. It's awful. Well, the girls are having an easier time than we are. Hopefully there's less fighting. Jerry actually wanted to go see what they were doing last night, but he was drunk. He's also a huge pervert. Go figure. Anyways, have a big night tonight. I'm going to get to hang out with Julia for a bit. That should be nice, depending on what Mr. Harper is doing, at least. That dude honestly scares the hell out of me. If he hit me, I'd probably shatter like glass. I'm only like 5'7", maybe 160. The more I think about Julia, the more I feel like it'd totally be worth it. I can feel the anxiety overtaking me as I sit here thinking about it. My leg is bouncing up and down like crazy. My hands are also kind of shaky. Jerry just woke up. First words he said were, "Shit, I gotta stop drinking." It's nice to see him finally sober and thinking clearly, even if he can't really stand the light right now.
Entry number 8, June 14th, 1249.
Well, breakfast went smoothly. Afterwards, Mr. Green took us hiking and walked all the way to the creek, which took maybe 4 hours. We stopped right next to it to eat lunch. It's still oddly quiet outside. I haven't seen any wildlife at all, not even a bird. I'm beginning to question why. Something just doesn't feel right. Plus, to top that off, there's still no sign of Cooper or Barry. Mr. Green says they're probably sleeping the day away at the cabin, which I guess makes sense, but still, I can't help but shake the lingering feeling in my gut. The creek is pretty neat though. The water connects to a local lake, so it's got that weird greenish-brownish color. It's peaceful, gently running through the forest. It's a shame I don't like taking pictures because this one would honestly be pretty cool. Me and Jerry sat down on a log during lunch. I just told him about Julia's text. He was almost slack-jawed. "Dude, she's way too pretty for you," he joked. I couldn't help but laugh. Says the one who's been trying to hook us up for weeks. Hey man, I'm just saying, you may not get another chance like this. You really call this a chance? Her father's gonna snap me like a popsicle stick. Jerry cackled. Well, at least you'll go out doing something cool. That's better than how I'm probably gonna go. I raised a brow. Oh yeah? Let me guess. Liver poisoning? Jerry scoffed. Then his face turned weirdly serious. Nah, I have herpes. What? I asked with a squint. Herpes. This is an STD, he continued. No, I know what it is, but Gideon wiped those diseases out like 50 years ago, I chuckled. Plus, you're still a virgin. I am not. I just eyed him. We both knew the truth. His drinking turned most young women away from him, even the party girls. I honestly can't remember him being completely sober before today. Well then, tell me. Who gave you herpes? I don't know. It was dark. It got quiet between us for a few seconds. We could hear the stream flowing and the sound of Aaron chewing behind us. We both just looked at each other before laughing our heads off. I swear, sometimes we have the maturity of 12-year-olds. Anyways, Cooper just wandered into our lunch area looking like a zombie. He looks a little out of it. His blue eyes are kind of bloodshot and glazed over at the same time. I hope he's okay. Mr. Green is checking him out now.
Entry 9, June 14th, 1444.
We made it halfway back to camp before Cooper stopped and started projectile vomiting something red and chunky. The dude was sweating like a pig. Mr. Green said he's got a huge fever. He keeps asking what happened, but Cooper isn't saying much. His speech is slurred like he's wasted. He seems like someone pumped him full of a sedative. I'm not even sure how he made it to us. He collapsed onto the dry, crusty dirt of the forest floor. He was drooling and foaming at the mouth like a dog. His body convulsed and twitched. Mr. Green was quick to his radio. "Fuck, Harper, Cooper needs an ambulance." My heart was in my throat. I couldn't say a word. I could hear Jerry mumble a soft, "Fuck me." I wanted to puke. My thoughts bounced through my head like a pinball. It took Harper a good 2.5 minutes to get to us. He slid through the dirt next to Cooper. "What happened?" he shouted. I don't know, man," Mr. Green replied, trying to withhold tears. "Keep it together," Harper commanded as his eyes shot straight to me. "Help me carry him to the bus," he ordered. I hesitated. My thoughts almost had me in a trance. I wanted to panic, and I wanted to look away. "Now!" he screamed. I regained control of myself and shot straight for Cooper's body. I helped Mr. Harper lift him up, his arms wrapped around both our shoulders. I was used to helping half-conscious people move around anyways, thanks to Jerry being an early-stage alcoholic, so this was normal to me. What wasn't normal was the fact that during the trip towards camp, Cooper puked red sludge all over my jeans several times. I didn't stop moving. I couldn't. He could barely keep pace with us. Half of the way back, it felt like we were dragging the poor guy. We all relaxed a bit when we made it to camp. That was until Mr. Green flew straight into his cabin, then almost immediately flew straight out. "I don't have any signal. God damn it, I don't have any signal." Everyone else checked their phones as well. Nothing. When I heard this, I just about fainted. My heart was beating in my chest like a drum. "Okay, fuck it. Get him on the bus," Harper commanded to me as we changed directions. I could feel the man stop dead in his tracks when he turned, though. I did too when I saw it. The bus was sitting on 4 flat tires, like flat as a pancake tires. I dropped Cooper. I'm sorry. My knees went weak. My arms felt like wet noodles. What the hell is going on?
Entry 10, June 14th, 2012.
I am freaking the hell out right now. We're all sitting out by the fire pit. Mr. Green and Mr. Harper are in the teacher's cabin with Cooper. I know they're doing their best, but I don't think there's anything they can do. Harper examined the bus about an hour ago. Then I watched him grit his teeth when he did so. He turned to me, then pointed at the tire. There was an enormous gash that went down the sidewall. "You see that?" he asked. "What?" "Someone cut up our tire with what looks like a pretty big knife." I furrowed my brow at him. "How can you tell?" Julia was standing right next to us. She just looked at me. Her eyes were soft yet certain. She wasn't afraid. "Because the cuts are too neat to be anything else," she said with a brazen certainty. That was when Harper marched straight to his bag at the cabin and yanked out a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun and a silver shiny .44 Magnum revolver. I could see the shock in Mr. Green's eyes. He shot up from beside Cooper, who was now white as a ghost. "Why the hell did you bring firearms on a school trip?" Harper glared at him. "There's someone out here screwing with us. From what I can tell, they're armed with at least a knife that can cut clean through a tire in one slash. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd rather have these around if they come near us. Personally, I'm glad he brought them. It makes me feel better. Especially if he's right and there is someone out here messing with us. But if he is, that doesn't explain what's going on with Cooper. Another thing I've just noticed, Barry is still missing."
Entry 11, June 15th, 0019.
Cooper's gone. The camp is dead silent at the moment, aside from Stacy's sobs. I don't know why she's crying, though. If she hadn't cheated on him, then he wouldn't have had to go out there and have gotten whatever he had. Jerry didn't even bother trying to hide his whiskey. He just pulled it out and took a swig. Harper quickly took it from him, then took a huge swig himself and handed it back. Hell, even I want some now. Julia is sitting next to me, her head on my shoulder. I honestly didn't even notice until I saw Harper look at me. He didn't like it one bit, but he had bigger problems at the moment. He just kind of scoffed and kept watching the other kids. I wish I could talk to her, or just anyone. I don't know what I'd say, though. Someone died on our first day out here, and we don't even know what caused it. Now we're trapped, a mile from the main road with some psycho walking around. This isn't hell. I don't know what it is. Harper and Green have agreed to take shifts on watching us. Harper's up first.
Entry 12, June 15th, 1533.
I didn't go to sleep until about 5. The forest was dead quiet all damn night. Jerry actually pointed out to Harper around 2 a.m. that there was a park ranger tower about 10 miles away from us, saying that we could go there for help. Harper just scoffed and said he knows, then revealed he's been trying to contact them on the radio, but all he's getting is static. I watched him as he tossed his radio aside. "Fucking Gideon Tech," he groaned. "What, you got a problem with them?" I asked, trying to get my mind off of things. Harper just scoffed at me. "Of course I do. They're not the good guys they make themselves out to be." "But they cured both AIDS and cancer. That doesn't count for something?" I asked. "Kid, you see what they want you to see because you haven't been exposed to very much of the real world. Gideon has most of the country inside their little ignorant bubble." "Oh, so you're a conspiracy nut job. Like Alex Jones," I joked. I could see Harper try not to smirk. "Kid, I work for the U.S. military. I've seen shit that'll make your blood run cold." "Like in Norway?" I asked, really not even thinking about it until it slipped out of my mouth. He turned to me, his eyebrow raised high on his head. "Julia tell you that?" I just nodded. I can remember seeing the news footage of that thing coming out of smoke and smacking that chopper out of the sky. I mean, I was terrified just watching it. I can't imagine having to fight it. Harper's face morphed. I could tell by looking at him that he did not enjoy the memories of what happened. I felt bad for a split second until he spoke. "I didn't fight, kid. I just survived." I raised my brow. It sounded like he was saying he was a coward, like he ran away. But there was no way that was true. I mean, this guy was Special Forces. "There was no fighting those things. Not without the ISDD, he said as if he read my mind. "ISDD?" I asked. He just nodded at me. Then his face somehow got even more serious. "I can see why she likes you," he said, suddenly wrecking my entire train of thought. What? I stammered. "Oh, come on. I'm her dad. She tells me things." "She told you?" I asked. My mind was buzzing like it was full of wasps. He just nodded with a smirk. I didn't know what to say. I mean, I was alive, so there was that, so I guess I'm doing something right. "Yep, she told me all about you. The quick-witted boy at school who doesn't like pictures and always listens to what she has to say." I frowned. "That's how she described me." He nodded, then his face got really serious, like Grim Reaper in a catacomb serious. "You seem like a good kid, but I'm going to say this once, and only once. If you hurt her, or even think of hurting her, for that matter, I will get a bunch of my Spec Ops buddies, swing by your house, and then the next time you wake up, you'll be locked in a crate 10 feet underground wondering why there's a hole where your dick used to be. Got it?" He was in my face now. His hot breath smelled like whiskey. "Yeah," I said. I could feel my heart thumping away in my chest. I don't know how he did it, but he scared me more than the psycho did. He just smiled. "Good." I glanced in front of us to see both Aaron and Jerry standing. Both their jaws were agape. That was when I'd realized that all the other boys had gotten back into the cabin. They'd all heard the conversation.
Entry 13, June 15th, 2358.
Harper and Mr. Green both agreed that we need to pack it up and go towards the main road in the morning. Cooper's body already smells. Harper has me helping him constantly. Told me trust me more than Mr. Green, who honestly seems a little more out of it than usual. Harper told me that he found what looks like a 3-inch bee stinger in Cooper's lower back. I didn't believe him until he showed me and Julia. It was indeed some type of stinger, but if it were a bee or a wasp, it would mean the thing was as big as a dog. The thing was black and sleek and almost like plastic. It was as thick as my thumb and sharp as hell on the point. "What do you think it's from?" I asked. Harper just shrugged. "Kid, my job is that I blow shit up, not look at bugs. If this is what killed Cooper and it's still out here, we need to leave and call the ISDD." "Who are they?" I asked. "People who deal with weird shit?" Harper responded as he examined the stinger. "What about Barry?" I asked. "If he was with Cooper, then he's probably dead," Julia said bluntly. Man, I wish I stayed home. I could be playing Call of Duty 23 with my little brother right now.
Entry 14, June 16th, 0959.
We woke up to the sound of screaming. As me and the other boys all made our way outside, we found Mr. Green writhing in pain on the ground next to a fire pit. Something black and long was sticking out of his now bleeding neck. I almost retched at the sight of the crimson liquids seeping between the man's fingers. Harper tried to do what he could, but as soon as he got to Mr. Green, the ag teacher vomited red chunky stuff at Harper's feet. We pulled him into the teacher's cabin, in the same way we did Cooper. "We need to send someone to the main road now," Harper shouted as he laid the still writhing man down on the ground. The two guys behind me, both skinny kids I didn't really know other than by name, Dylan and Tyler, both took off without hesitation. "Harper, it came out of the ground," Mr. Green moaned weakly. Harper's eyes widened. It what? What's going on?" I could hear Julie ask herself. Jerry was behind me telling the now hyperventilating Aaron to get himself together. When that didn't work, Jerry slapped him right across the face. Then came the voice. Her fucking voice. "Cooper?" Stacy asked shakily. I turned quickly. Cooper's body had been laid next to the wooden wall, right under a small window. His body was convulsing. White foam poured from his mouth like it was a fountain. That was when something violently ripped through his torso. Something that looked like a black spider leg, slick with blood. The thing was as tall as I was. It hit the wooden floor hard right next to the body. Then 5 more followed, 3 on each side of the poor dead student. They lifted his body up as whatever was inside him tried to get out. He hung a good 2 feet off the ground. I could hear Stacy's sobs grow louder. Julia gasped. Harper muttered as he yanked his revolver. I could barely say a word. Then we heard the wet ripping sound as something black and round ripped out of Cooper's flesh. It was a head. A fucking insect head, complete with the 2 antennas and big black eyes that were trained on us. The creature hissed as it turned its body. Cooper's body moved with it. Harper didn't hesitate for a second. He raised the pistol and fired. The loud bang made my ears ring. The smell of smoke and gunpowder polluted the air. The creature's left eye exploded. White foamy liquid went everywhere as it staggered backwards, screeching now like some kind of injured rat. It hurt my already ringing ears. The creature went limp as it fell to the floor, taking Cooper's body with it. Harper aimed his weapon again. He wanted to finish the thing off. I could see the hatred plastered on his face. But that's when we heard a scream from outside. He quickly turned, heading straight for the doorway. Me and Julia followed suit. I wish we'd stayed hid. I wish we'd never come on this freaking trip. Outside was pure nightmare fuel. The things were everywhere. I don't know what they are. They're as big as wolves and black and smooth like ants. They look like ant-wasp hybrids from hell. They have red wings that move so fast I can barely keep track of them. They came down on Chloe, one shoving its long stinger deep into her back. She was the one who'd screamed. By the fire pit, one had burned its way out of the ground and jumped on one of the guys. I don't even know his name. I don't know half their names. Most of the people on the trip were outside, being ripped apart. Harper turned to Julia. "Get inside." He was cut off by shattering glass. I turned as fast as I could, only to watch as one of the creatures had flown through the window and pounced on Aaron, shoving its stinger through his skull before he could even scream. We wanted to run for the main road, but those things were in our way, so we took off towards the woods, following Harper as he scooped up his shotgun from the fire pit. Only 5 of us are left, plus Harper. Everyone else is either missing or dead. We ran, and I mean ran until our feet hurt. I think that's probably where we lost the other 7 students. God, I can't imagine what's happening. It took us until the sun came up to find the ranger tower. Holy shit. I ran 10 miles. Jerry is throwing up right now. The tower seems safe, or at least safer. I mean, the rangers are gone. I think they're probably dead. Harper's been screwing with the radio. All he seems to be getting is static. He keeps looking for a channel. I'm not sure what he means, but the man keeps saying, "This is Captain Harper. Nemesis, are you on? Please respond."
Entry 15, June 16th, 2210.
We've been sitting here all day. I've been kind of scrounging around the paperwork. Those creatures don't seem to leave the trees much, but I'm pretty sure they just haven't noticed us yet. Harper's still on the radio. Julia broke into their gun safe. Didn't know she knew how to do that. It's honestly kind of hot, though. Anyways, there wasn't much. A couple pistols, 2 shotguns, and an M4, but there's plenty of ammo, according to Harper, at least. Says we just have to hold up here until we can get the radio working. I mean, the tower's not exactly a fortress. It's about 6 stories off the ground and the size of a small classroom. We can see out each side of the room as they're mostly windows. There's also places to sleep. Stacy found several sleeping cots in one of the closets. I guess the rangers were prepared for lost campers. We also found a couple flare guns. Terry's been kind of in a daze since this whole thing started. I'm worried about him. I guess I haven't written much about him at all. He was one of Cooper's best friends, another football star. I think he was the running back. It doesn't really matter, but Cooper was the quarterback, so it makes the most sense, in my mind at least. Anyhow, the only people who know how to shoot guns in this place are Julia, Jerry, and Harper. Jerry's dad used to be a cop until he pulled over the wrong guy and got shot. Honestly, I think that's probably why he drinks so much. I remember the night it happened. It was the middle of December, and his mom drove him into our house. He stayed with us for a few days while his mom figured things out. I can remember he didn't say a word for the first 4 hours of his stay, which for a 12-year-old who used to never stop talking is, well, kind of strange. When I finally got him to talk, we went to my room and played Xbox for the rest of the night. We've been close ever since. Julia also finally admitted to me that the reason her dad broke that guy's jaw was because he tried to assault her in their driveway, which kind of explains why he got away with it. I guess you can't always believe what you hear.
Entry 16, June 17th, 0832.
I actually slept like a log last night. I woke up sitting against the wall. Julia's head was on my shoulder. I'm surprised she fell asleep so close to me. I smell like sweat and mildew, but I guess she does too. When I woke up, the first person I locked eyes with was Jerry, who just gave me an ecstatic thumbs up. He's sitting in a chair next to the window, just kind of staring into the thick green forest. We can see out above the tree line. I haven't seen any of the creatures fly past the treetops. Not that I think they can't. Terry is still shaking. I don't think he slept at all. Then Harper is just standing at the radio, still fiddling with it. Stacy is still trying to use her cell phone. I remember Jerry plainly saying, "It's not gonna work." She rolled her eyes at him and tried to send another text. That was when the static broke. "Hello? Hello, Captain? This is Sergeant Brooks with the Park Rangers," a male voice responded. Jerry shot up from his chair. Harper's face lit up like a firework. Yes, we're stuck in one of your towers. We know. We've already dispatched some people to your location. They should be arriving within the next hour or so," the man said. He sounded really blunt, which, as I write this now, kind of makes my spine tingle. Something isn't right. How did they know where we are so fast? I'm gonna ask Harper.
Entry 17, June 17th, 1959.
I can't even begin to describe the last 10 hours. I'm not sure else how to describe it. I'd pray, but I'm not sure I'd get an answer. This is hell. I keep wondering, who would create monsters like that? And I don't even mean the creatures outside. So I asked Harper. The question got his attention just as soon as the radio went static and the cold monotone voice came on saying the park rangers were below us. We looked at the vehicle below and, well, it was a black armored vehicle. Harper described it as an APC, then looked at me with an almost sideways and disturbed glance before telling Julia to lock the door. Terry was still shaking like a leaf in the corner. Jerry stood up from his chair and peered out the window at the vehicle as men in black uniforms who were wielding assault rifles all stepped out. I stood next to him watching. "These aren't park rangers," Harper said with a cold voice as he cocked his M4. Now I was confused. If this wasn't the park rangers, then who was it? That was when I heard a soft crack. Something outside had gone off. I turned my head in time to see it. The window ahead of me had a small bullet-sized hole blown. Then something warm and wet was oozing down the side of my face. I knew what it was, and I didn't want to look, but I did. The side of Jerry's head was just gone. Bits of meat and brain oozed out. It looked like the inside of a cake with strawberry filling. My head started swirling as my friend's body hit the ground. Stacy screamed at the top of her lungs, but it was drowned out by the ringing in my ears. The next thing I knew, Harper was yanking me to the floor by my shirt. All hell broke loose as bullets flew through the windows from all directions. Harper had us all behind him against the wall, and as he aimed his assault rifle at the tower's wooden doorway. The first guy who burst in never saw it coming. Harper fired a single shot into him. His head snapped to the side and he fell. The second guy didn't fare much better. Harper moved up slowly, keeping his rifle aimed on the open door. keeping his rifle aimed on the open doorway. Julia was behind him, gripping a revolver tightly. Then there was me, no weapon, just my backpack, which I held in front of me like a shield. I don't know why. I doubt this tablet would hold up to a couple of bullets. But then again, you never know. Then behind me was Stacy, and behind her sat Terry, who was still shaking. Harper peered out the doorway behind his weapon. "We got 4 more coming up," he said a little too calmly before turning to Julia. "Check the bodies for grenades." Julia didn't hesitate. It seemed almost like she'd done this before. "This is worse than Colorado Springs," she said sharply to herself. Harper chuckled and whispered in her voice, "Colorado Springs is way worse." Julia found a couple on the bodies and rolled them towards Harper. He took the first one, pulled the pin, and tossed it out the door. I covered my ears to brace for the coming bang, and it was louder than expected. My already ringing ears were somehow ringing harder. The tower shook violently. Harper peered around the doorway again. "They're down," he said. Terry, I guess, thought that meant the coast was clear. He stood up to look out the window, and the next thing we knew, his head was turned into red mist. "Freaking sniper," Harper complained. That was when Julia pulled the radio off of one of the bodies as Harper shut the door. "Who the hell are these guys?" I asked as I looked at one of the bodies. The men were wearing all black tactical gear with black masks and everything. These guys looked like actual soldiers. There was no way in hell they were park rangers. I actually don't know what they were. "Stay low. Don't get up for anything," Harper commanded us as he turned the channel on the radio he'd stolen. "I know this one works," I heard him say to himself as he twisted a knob on the top of it. "This is Captain Harper going for the ISDD headquarters. I know you're on this channel." There was a static. Then, "Captain Harper," a calm male voice said. "Yes, sir." "It's Trent. Where are you? We can't track your phone signal." At first I thought this was more of these men wearing black. Then it's when I noticed Julia perk up. "Trent?" she asked. She seemed relieved. Harper held up a finger. "We're stuck in a ranger tower in Rio Grande National Park. There's 5 of us. We've got mercenaries shooting at us and some big fucking ants running around attacking people. We need help." There was a pause. "Did you just say ants?" Trent replied. Harper sighed. "Big ones." There was another silence. "And you said mercenaries?" "Yes, sir. They look like Gideon ones, too. I think they've jammed our phone signals." I was still racking on my brain on how crazy this guy sounded. Did he really just say big fucking ants? Seriously? But the response he got was just stranger. That's the world we live in now, I guess. "We'll be there as soon as we can. We don't have any teleporters on base right now. I'll try to call one up, but if I can't reach one, you're looking at about a 6-hour wait." Harper rolled his eyes with what I could only assume was annoyance. "I don't know if we're going to last the next 7 minutes. We've got snipers outside. I wish there was more I could do. I'll be there as soon as I can." Harper just huffed and puffed. "I understand." He put the radio on the ground next to him. It got quiet in the room. That's where I am now. No one has said a word. We're just sitting up here with the stench of these bodies. It's been 2 hours and these snipers are still waiting for us to get dumb and stand up, or just try to run away. We need help fast or we're all going to die here. I've actually done a lot of thinking about this. If it comes to it, death by sniper is better than one of those things.
Entry 18, June 17th, 2326.
We stayed low for like 4 more hours. Eventually we heard the sound. It was like a soft hum, and it was getting closer and closer to our position. I can remember gritting my teeth with anticipation. I thought those things were coming. I think we all did. I could see Harper grip his weapon tighter. Stacy cowered down in the corner. None of us dared to peek out the window, though. All we could do was wait. I was ready to stand straight up if those things got in. Stand straight up and take that bullet to the face like a champ. The humming was right over us. I was practically standing when we heard something hit the roof. Harper aimed his weapon upwards. Beads of sweat were pouring down my face. My hands shook violently. I could feel my breath shuddering. We heard footsteps on the roof, but they weren't from the bugs. They were human. Whomever it was walked for a few seconds, then stopped in the center. Harper's radio crackled static. "Harper, please don't fire that weapon." Trent's voice came in. Harper's eyes got big as he lowered his M4. That was when the footsteps continued towards the edge, only stopping once they reached the roof above where the door was at. A thud just outside the door followed. Then this guy seriously knocked on the door. Come in?" I said. The door swung open. Then he walked in. A man, clad in some kind of metallic black armor. It looked like what I can only describe as a futuristic tactical ninja armor, complete with an assault rifle in his hands and some kind of short sword on his back. He scanned the room for a second. "Hey, Captain," he asked calmly. "Yes," Harper responded, kind of awkwardly. "Do you know this forest is sitting on a giant wasp nest that is, about 7 miles across?" Harper raised his eyebrow. That's what I told you." Nemesis shrugged. "No, you said ants." "Do you know what they are?" I asked instinctively. Trent took a breath. "Well, according to my HUD, they're a mutated form of tarantula hawk wasps." "What now?" asked Harper. "You know, the wasps that lay their eggs in tarantulas so their young can eat them from the inside out? Do any of you watch National Geographic?" We all looked at each other in confusion. "Well, according to the bodies we found at your camp and, well, everywhere else, we think they might be using just about any living organism they can find to reproduce." It went deathly silent in the room for a few seconds. "So we need to get you guys to the roof. The aircraft is waiting. Then we're going to figure out a way to take care of these things." "What about the sniper?" Julia asked. "Miss Wilde took care of him." "Who?" I asked. Harper turned and eyed me. "Let's go, Mr. Haddix." That was when Nemesis' hand shot to his ear. "Oh, shit," I heard him say as he turned around and walked out the door. That was when all hell broke loose again. Gunfire rocked the woods around us. The night sky lit up with flashes. Explosions rang out on all sides. An orange fireball leapt from the top of the tree line. It revealed everything. "What the hell?" I heard Julia mutter. Stacy cried hysterically. I turned to look out the window next to the doorway. I could see soldiers surrounding us and shooting out into the woods. My heart jumped into my throat. I could see them, thousands of them, all flying towards us. I froze up. I didn't know what to do. That was when I saw something move out of the corner of my eye. I could see Trent raise his rifle towards it. He fired half a mag in the bug before it fell out of the sky. It took a second for this to register. They were already close by, close enough for Trent to shoot one and for me to see it in enough detail in this darkness that was the night. "Looks like we stirred up the hornet's nest. Light the fuckers up," Trent said into his comm device. The next thing I knew, there was the sound of choppers beating overhead. 2 helicopters flew over the tower and let loose a hail of missiles. More orange fireballs rushed up the tree line. The ground beneath my feet trembled. I could see a black mass of bugs coming our way. Holy hell, I just want to go home. Nemesis turned to us. "You need to leave right now." As he said this, the window behind Stacy shattered. She screamed as one of the creatures shoved its stinger into her back. Nemesis seemed to move across the room in the blink of an eye. His sword now in his hand, he was fast, inhumanly fast. I've never seen anyone move like this before, cutting the thing's head off in one swift motion. Stacy crumpled to the ground, whining and crying like a baby. I want to say I felt bad for her, but after the shit she did to Cooper, I didn't. Trent kneeled over her, looking intently as she squirmed. "She's definitely got them inside her." Then he reached into a pouch on his belt and produced what I now know was a tranquilizer. He jammed it into her chest. She went limp instantly. The man scooped her up, then carried her to the roof. We followed close behind him. A craft like I'd never seen before hovered a few feet over the roof. It looked like one of those old Osprey choppers the military used to have, but it used a different flight system. Instead of rotors, it had something that made it seem to float. They looked to me like smaller jet engines. I don't know how any of that stuff works. It seemed very, very high tech. Nemesis put Stacy in the vehicle first, then had us climb in through the side doors, where another soldier awaited us, or so I thought. She seemed young, maybe 2 or 3 years older than me. Nemesis called her Stone. She told us to buckle in, which we did. Nemesis stayed behind, said he needed help burn a wasp nest. We're on the way to whatever base they have set up right now. I'm relieved to finally be heading towards safety, but we're not out of the woods yet.
Case File 8, After Action Report. The ISDD personnel disposed of the creatures within 5 hours of touchdown with minimal casualties. 2 to be exact. ISDD personnel used a pheromone that was stolen from the nearby Gideon convoy to draw the creatures in, and then a combination of small arms fire and air support to terminate the nest. 25 of the 27 teenagers and 1 teacher were killed in the incident, as well as 6 hikers whose bodies were found in the area. The 2 surviving teens, Julia Harper and Jack Haddix, are under close observation. This isn't Julia's first encounter with our work, as she was present during an incident in Colorado Springs. Her father, who also survived, is an agent with us. He serves as the head of the ISDD's new Special Forces unit. Julia will be fine. Her and her father are going to be staying on base for a while. The Harpers are going to be put in counseling until further notice. In Jack Haddock's case, however, during the flight to base, the creature inside of Stacey Hackett got loose in the aircraft. Mr. Haddock was stung while protecting Julia. We don't think he's going to live for much longer. We're still working on a cover story for this one. So far, all we have is that they were killed in a bear attack, which that's not solid. It's definitely not enough to dissuade his family, anyway. The creature that was inside Miss Hackett was subdued by Agent Stone. It is currently on ice in the base's labs. Nemesis has stated several times that he blamed himself for what happened to Jack. He's taken a leave of absence for the next couple weeks. After the year he's had, I'd say he's earned it. As for Gideon's supposed involvement, it seems that they used an updated version of the Lazarus virus that caused the same outbreak in Grozny and Hopper to mutate some tarantula hawk wasps and set them loose in the park. Several park rangers were found dead from gunshot wounds about a mile south of the tower. We suspect that Gideon is using the Lazarus virus to create weapons, but we don't have anything solid enough to bring this to court. All the mercenaries, as per usual, didn't exist. They had no record, no fingerprints, they were no one. No one we could identify anyways. All their trucks and equipment were unmarked. The only real saving grace we got was when we managed to get a laptop from one of their vehicles. Hopefully it gives us at least some intel on whatever it is they're up to. End report.
Hello everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed our very first horror story narration for the Random Onion. This has been something we've contemplated doing for a long time. I know you guys are used to hearing the Out of the Darkness universe or Cadenverse stories on Scary Juju's channel. The thing is, we have so many of them, to tell. I don't want to put all of that on just Scary Juju, so we're going to try to do some on our channel, and we're going to run it under the tag of our Spooky Onion creepypastas. So if you ever see anything pop up, especially on that playlist, then it's part of the universe or it's a Q&A about said universe. With that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this narration. It's the first one we've ever done, and it's probably a little sloppy, but, you know, I had fun making it. So, without further ado, please remember to like, subscribe, and we will see you next time.